back to my channel. So I did get a request to share with you some of my favorite books. I do have a few here. Some of them I don't have with me on hand, and some of them I listen to as audiobooks, like just on YouTube. So let's get started with what I have here. So the first book I'm going to share with you guys is one that I read when I was probably around 22, 23, and that is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. All of the books that I'm going to mention today are self-improvement books and the type of books that I like to reference back to often. So this is definitely one of them. It definitely view them in the order of how they were introduced to me and when I read them. So the next one was The Four Agreements, and this one I read a few years ago, and I was just like I finished it in one day. It's a really easy read. This one, I'll just read the Four Agreements to you if you haven't heard of this book or you haven't read it. The first one is be impeccable with your word. The second one is don't take anything personally. The third one, don't make any assumptions. And the last one is always do your best. And they sound pretty simple and straightforward and to the point. But once you read the book and get into each chapter, it's like, duh, like it's one of those kind of books. I love this book. This is the kind of book that I definitely like reading over and over again, and it's really quick and easy, so maybe once a month just to keep it fresh in your mind. Next one is, which one did I read first? This one, Sacred Woman by Queen Afua. Okay, so there's a lot going on in this book. There's a ton of information, and there's things about rituals and gateways and different journeys to do, but for me, I kind of just skip through to what I'm looking for at the time. Like you see, I have some post-its here, and the first post-it is marked, the page is marked Herbs and Spices for the Kitchen Healing Laboratory. So this is kind of a list of different herbs and spices to always have on hand to make different kind of teas and tinctures and things like that. And then another page I have here, this part I love, so I'll just share some of this with you really quickly. It's about food and what certain foods do to you. So it says like here, foods affect our emotions. So flesh foods, pork, beef, chicken, goat, fish. Emotional and social diseases, they cause resentment, dulls the senses, creates anger, brings on violence, causes inappropriate sexual aggression and envy. And alternatives to eating these things are vegetable protein, cleanse with red clover and chaparral, herbal tea, take enemas and herbal laxative. And then it shows the diseases that are associated with these things, the different meats, which are cancer, low energy, fatigue, tumors, high blood pressure, swelling, prostate conditions, impotence, and infertility. And you know, for those of you who aren't into this kind of thing, that's perfectly okay. For me, I am a very strong believer in the saying, you are what you eat. And if you take the time to pay attention to the things that you eat and how you feel after you eat them, and even like the next day and things like that, it all is connected. And yeah, I love this book for this specific portion here. So there's a lot of information in this book, and I'm not exactly prepared for the gateways and the rituals, but some of the information about food and health and yoga I definitely love. So this is another one of my favorites that I always go to. Next is The Yamas and Niyamas. I love this book. I was introduced to this book when I did my yoga teacher training last summer, and I kept it and I read it all the time. And if you don't know what this is, it's basically a set of principles or laws that practitioners of yoga live by. So just to go through a few, they're nonviolence, truthfulness, non-stealing, non-excess, non-possessiveness, purity, contentment, self-discipline, self-study, and surrender. And again, this is another book I would recommend if you practice yoga. Like if you just go to yoga classes and you haven't heard of this, you should grab it. Even if you don't, it's a nice easy to read guideline for living a life for creating a life that is as pure as it can be, and understanding why you do certain things, like why you hold on to certain emotions and people and things and violence, and what violence can really be. Like, I would definitely recommend this book. So The Yamas and Niyamas, Exploring Yoga's Ethical Practice, by Deborah Adele. So this one is definitely great. And the last one is actually my favorite book ever. I read it last year, and it is The Mastery of Love by Don Miguel Ruiz, who also is the author of The Four Agreements. This book will completely change how you navigate through your relationships, especially your like romantic relationships, I guess. It kind of breaks down, you know, the biggest takeaway I took from it is you have to love people exactly how they are, exactly where they are, and that's it. And if they do not mesh with you and your morals and, you know, the things that you want, it serves no one to try to change them, and your best bet is to find someone who is more like what you need in your life, and to love them anyway for exactly how they are. And that's where a lot of conflicts come in relationships, because one is trying to change the other and not accepting them for exactly who they are and where they are in their life. And it might, on one hand, you might think you're helping or, you know, motivating, but people are who they are. And when someone shows you who they are, you should really believe them and not just think, oh, I can change that later. It doesn't help anyone. So The Mastery of Love, love this book. Another book that I do not have with me that I listened to the audiobook was The Alchemist. Very popular book, very old book. I loved it. I'll probably listen to it again. And by the hard copy, that one is about a boy on a journey and fulfilling his life's purpose. And it's a great story to read. I don't read a lot of stories. I like books that I can learn something, like tangible knowledge from, and that was one of them. So I hope that was, you know, okay for you. That's a few books that I love, that I read often, and hopefully I can add a few more to my list. If you've read any really good books, leave them in the comments down below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.